Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and again on Saturday morning at 9 on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Terry Slavens to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
It is Life Planning 101 right here on KATX KWBY. Terry Slavens with you and joined as usual by Angela Kennedy Robinson. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning. Life Insurance Awareness Month. That's September, full month of September. And we're going to have some really awesome shows over the next few times. I think you're going to have a different perspective than you've probably ever had on some different things about life insurance that you may not have known. And, you know, to some people, they hear the word life insurance and they're like, yeah, that's something I need to deal with, or I don't want to think about it. Yeah, another bill. Exactly, right?
You know, and the thing about life insurance is, and I sold life insurance for many years, is that you buy a life insurance policy, you don't go out to your friend and say, look what I bought. You know, if you buy a new car, come look at my new car. You buy a life insurance policy, it's just sort of like put it in a drawer.
Yep.
And it's there when you need it.
That's right. When your family needs it, you don't even get to enjoy it.
But you know you're doing things to protect your family.
That's exactly
it's a very loving purchase.
That's exactly right. That's what we always tell people is, you know, you don't buy life insurance because you love yourself or because you're trying to make some fancy dancy investment. At the end of the day, you're buying life insurance because you love someone or something, believe it or not, later in life. So I pulled out this article that we wrote several years ago, and I loved it. I actually wrote it, but I loved it. So for today's show, I thought it was really good. And I want to go through this because it kind of tells a story and it'll get us going. And then we're going to have a really awesome show today talking about some myths surrounding life insurance and some things that you really need to think of. For example, oftentimes people believe life insurance costs a whole lot more than it actually does to protect your family. So let's hear this out though. A lifetime tool. Today I got married and I made a vow to always take care of my wife. If something were to happen to me, she would lose over half our current income, owe approximately $200,000 between our mortgage and auto loans, and of course, be devastated. Today, I received the best gift God has ever given me, my baby girl. If something were to happen to me, my wife, who is now a stay-at-home mom, would have to support our new baby girl on a Social Security check that is merely a quarter of what I bring home, pay our debts, which have grown with our income of approximately $600,000, send our child to college, which in 18 years will amount to over $200,000 at the current rate of inflation, and oh, by the way, my wife will need to go back to work. Today, my son entered my business. I never dreamt this day would come, and I am confident my business will remain successful after I'm gone. But wait, what about my daughter? I have nothing to leave her. What will the holidays be like after I'm gone? Will they fight? Will I ruin their relationship? Today, my granddaughter lost her parents. She's now a senior and looking to go to Harvard University. After paying the debts on her parents' estate, there's no money left, and I feel her dreams are broken. If there were only something I could do, but I am retired. Today, my wife died of breast cancer. I plan to give as much as I can to the research for curing this disease so my granddaughter can live with hope. But I also want to leave a legacy to my grandsons. How do I choose? Today, I turn 85 years old. I do not know that I could count that high, and I did not know my estate would have grown that much during my retirement. Uncle Sam tells me he's going to take 45% of my estate if I die today. So this is a story of a man that had 6 wishes in his life for permanent life insurance. In his 20s, it was a cash flow replacement tool and to eliminate his debts and help take care of his spouse. In his 30s and 40s, it was a tool to still replace cash flow, eliminate debts, but also protect his children's education and protect the retirement that they have built for him and his wife, right? In his 50s, it was a tool to be able to equalize inheritances when his son came in the business and be able to not disinherit his daughter and cause family strife down the road. In his 60s, it was a tool to be able to send his granddaughter to school with withdrawals or loans against the cash value of the policy so that she could still have her dreams intact after her parents had passed. In his 70s, it was a tool to replace charitable gifts from his estate. And in his 80s, it was a tool to be able to pay estate taxes and help with trust planning. So the purpose of this is, a lot of people are under the first myth of what I call that life insurance is for one thing and one thing only when you're young and when you're trying to build a life and you have a lot of debt to pay off.
Right.
That is a very true wish. It is a very good thing. Don't get me wrong. In fact, 4 in 10 people don't have enough of anything to be able to pay immediate expenses if their spouse were to pass away. Think about that. 4 out of 10.
Wow.
40%. 7 out of 10 within months, not years, would be in the same situation. So 70%. So think about that. There's a huge need here, okay, for life insurance. There's no doubt in that generation. But sometimes I think we always think about, I only need it for this finite period of time and then I'm done with it, right? And the truth is does life change?
Absolutely.
Does it bring you joys? Does it bring you heartaches? Does it bring you problems? All the above.
The unknown. I mean, just like in that example you had there. You have a grandchild that loses both parents.
That's right.
And all of a sudden you are back.
Taking care of them.
Yes.
And how do you do it if you're retired or can't work or,
right.
In a position like that? So, there's a lot to this. And I wanted to bring that to the front of our show because, like I mentioned, it's not just a topic we all want to think about or talk about it, but it really is a hit home thing. It's a tool to be able to use to solve a lot of things in life. And I think when we go through these other myths, such as costs, such as just use it or lose it, I think you're going to find that maybe you need to rediscover where you're at with your life insurance policies and your family as well. So when we come back, you don't want to miss it.
All right. We'll be back with more Life Planning 101 right here on KATX KWBY. Second segment of Life Planning 101, Life Insurance Awareness Month, Angela.
That's right. And life happens as we all know it. There's a great article that came out for Life Insurance Awareness Month. I say article. It was a whole study done. It's called the Insurance Barometer, and it's done by Life Happens. And Life Happens actually has their own little needs app calculator that you can go in and put in your own financial data, and it doesn't take you, 3-4 minminutes to fill it out.
Financial needs analysis.
Yeah, and it tells you exactly how much you should have. I would highly suggest it. You can actually it's free. You can Google it or put it in your app store. Life Happens is the name of the app. Okay. I've actually used it a couple times in comparison with some pretty advanced planning and see if it came out very, very close. So, at least it's going to get you 90% of the way there. So that's huge. That's a big, technology's just done amazing things for our industry. And that's one of them. So, but the truth is here's a hole that they discovered, that the consumer demand for life insurance is greater than actual ownership, which we already knew that. 70% of people say they need insurance, yet only 59% own it. And the same holds true for disability. 48% need, 20% own. Long-term care, this one's really bad. 50% say they need it, 14% say they own it. Oh, yeah. Oh, exactly. So, and I love this one. Over 20% of life insurance owners say they don't have enough coverage, but get this, when it came to their spouses, 39% said that their spouses should have more. Wonder why that is. Right? And so, it's really, it's funny, but it's not funny in the sense that we are underinsured overall as a nation. In fact, like we mentioned before, 70% within months, not even a year, would be in severe trouble because there's not enough insurance there to be able to take care of the family. So, with that being said, let's go through. I've got 4 myths to kind of bust today, so to speak. Okay. First myth is only if I can afford it.
And you afford not to.
That's exactly right. We all have this, I'm invincible, it won't happen to me. We all have that about us. And I'm going to go back to that statement that you buy insurance because you love someone and for no other reason. When we're doing planning, one of the very first things that we show people is a pyramid. Okay, right. I draw a triangle upside down. I'm very good at that. And I draw some lines in that triangle. And the very bottom of that is called risk management. And that's your savings accounts. That's your home insurance if your home burnt down, right? Your auto insurance, your life insurance. Because in all reality, if you got a crack in the bottom of that pyramid and you had built up the top, but you hadn't done anything at the bottom to protect it,
the foundation's weak.
Yeah, it's going to crumble, right? The whole thing's going to crumble. So what's the point of working your tail off without protecting it? And a lot of people say to the next myth, well, it's the cost. I can't afford it. Well, how do you know that you can't afford it? Number one. First of all, this is a big one, okay? So in the same study, they actually had people guess what a $250,000 term policy for a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old would be. 44% of people thought it was going to cost over $1,000. The actual cost on average for that policy is $160 versus
$14 a month.
That's exactly right. So, and I just put more food for thought in here because we just ran one of these out. We had a 32-year-old female. We ran $1 million on her. It was $35 a month. $1 million. And the policy was convertible. More so. What does that mean? That means that they have the ability to always convert it to a permanent policy down the road, no matter what their health issues may arise. They've got guaranteed insurability in a sense. Wow. It's pretty awesome, right? That is
awesome.
It's really awesome. For $35 a month, $1 million worth of coverage. Okay, so when you think it's really ridiculous cost-wise, you need to really think again because it's probably not at all. And, a lot of people are under the impression, and I'm always amazed by people say that's only how much it costs or whatever, and they just are blown away with it. And then the fact is that they've been carrying around a $250,000 policy, and they think that that's all they can afford. Well, let me tell you something. In the insurance world, as you scale up, it becomes cheaper per dollar. So you notice when I said $35 a month, if you divided that by 4, it does not make an equivalent to $160 a year for that $250,000 life insurance policy. So in other words, what that means is as you get bigger, you have these breaks. So usually at about $500,000, $1 million, and there's one about $3 million that your price per unit or insurance cost goes much further down, right? And a lot of people say, well, why would I ever need $1 million? Why would I ever need $1 million? I would bet that 90% of the people that are working need at least $1 million of coverage. You're probably thinking, I don't understand. Okay, let me put it in simple terms for you. As an investment advisor, I would tell you $1 million at best is worth $40,000 a year to your family.
At best.
At best.
If you can, 4%.
At best. Okay, so think about that. $1 million is only worth $40,000 a year for your family. Is that going to get you to where you need to go?
And you're making $80,000. And you're not here anymore.
That's exactly right. So, how many people make $40,000 a year? There's a lot of people that make $40,000 a year. There's a lot more that make more than that, right?
Right.
And so you have to account for that and think about it. Most people need $2, $3, $4 million of insurance to be able to cover their family's needs because they have these goals too. Just like the gentleman had his 6 wishes, right? He wanted to be able to take care of his children's education, pay off their debts, not have to force his wife to go back to work, protect their retirement, insure their retirement. How is he going to accomplish all that with $250,000? It's not gonna happen, right? So don't let the cost be your obstacle. In fact, we have a quoter on our website. You can instantly shop your life insurance needs on our website under our Learning Center. It's an insurance quoter. It comes right up on there. When you find the one that you like, you can actually click on there, and then you do a tele app. It's very easy, and you can be insured within a matter of days.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So, don't let that cost be a fact. Go on there, check out what your cost would be for what you're looking at. When we come back, we've got 2 other myths to bust you don't want to miss in Life Insurance Awareness Month.
Final segment coming up next right here on KATX KWBY. Lots of great information to cover. Let's get right back to it, Angela.
Yes, so and I don't think we're going to have enough time. That's the reason I guess they have a Life Insurance Awareness Month.
Whole month.
Yes, and really what I want to get across the point today is, number 1, you probably need more. There's a very good chance. Number 2 is that it's probably a lot less expensive than you think it is. Like I mentioned before the break, we've got a quoter. I will say, if you go on to our website, we put only quality companies on our quoter. We get to choose what goes on there.
And insurance companies are rated by different
measures. Lots of them, right? Yes. And there's thousands of insurance companies, so you have to be careful. And then also, we don't put the cheapest quotes on there. We make sure everything that you're quoted is what's called convertible, so you have the chance to be able to convert it. Because the worst thing, and we've seen it happen, people get to be a certain age, they find out they're terminal with cancer, and they have no policy to convert, and their family's going to lose $1 million if they don't die in 8 months.
Right.
And that's ridiculous, right? Nobody would want that. So that's really important. And then that Life Happens app, we talked about that. Go and use that and see if you're on target to have enough life insurance. And then we want to know, tweet us, do you have enough life insurance at KFS Life Planning once you've done the app? Out of curiosity, we want to know if our numbers line up with everybody else's. So let's go to the third myth. So the third myth is, I will buy term and invest the difference, okay? And we're going to talk a lot this month about permanent policies because there's so many wonderful things about them. I'm a huge advocate for them. And it's not just because I'm in this industry. It's just because I've seen the power of what they can do. They can provide protection. They can provide tax-free income in retirement. Yes, you heard that right. Tax-free income in retirement. Right. And then, the death benefit is tax-free. Just like we mentioned before in the 6 wishes, being able to, transfer wealth or equalize inheritances. You can do that for pennies on the dollar with life insurance policies rather than full dollars, right? So, there are actually several reasons for buying life insurance and buying permanent. But people always say, well, buy term and invest the difference. I've got one problem with that, a big problem. Most people don't buy term and invest the difference. Most people buy term and spend the difference, okay? So when you're thinking about that, ask yourself about your disciplines. And if you really are going to invest the difference, that's great. Set up that auto draft and pay yourself first, and don't ever turn it off. But unless you're willing to do that, you really need to consider using a cash value policy because it kind of locks you up like a retirement plan where you have limited access to it for a while.
Right.
So it forces you to create a savings for yourself. Yes, a savings inside your own life insurance policy. And you can do that, and it grows tax deferred inside of there. You're not paying taxes on any growth if it's done appropriately. So it's a pretty cool vehicle with that. And I encourage people to really look at your options. Don't just always go with the cheapest option because it may not be your best fit, right? And then number 4, it only has one use. So I was actually looking and I was just talking to Terry in the break. I said, as soon as we get back from Nigeria, we're going to underwrite Brett because I was just running one on an equal age to him, and we dumped him $15,000 a year into this policy for this young gentleman that's in his early 40s, and we left it in there till he's 65 years old, and he's going to be able to pull out 3 times the amount that he put in tax-free in retirement, and there's still going to be a death benefit at the end of that period of time for his family.
That's awesome.
That's really cool, isn't it? So, there's a lot of tools that you can use. You can use it for college planning. You can use, and I think Matt mentioned that on the show when he was in here. You can use it for retirement income planning. You can use it, of course, for the obvious reasons. You can use it for charitable planning. A lot of people do that. We've set up some really neat charitable cases over this last year where we've used dollars that investors are never going to use with their required minimum distributions and got them out tax-free, so they even have to pay tax on the required minimum distributions, leveraged their charitable giving 20-fold, 30-fold, and they're able to have that to be able to serve the cause that they love the very most. Whether it's breast cancer research, whether it's children in foreign countries, whether it's children in our own country, or Meals on Wheels, or whatever those causes are that are near and dear to your heart. So, life insurance is a beautiful thing.
Your church.
Your church. You've got multiple things that you can do with it. So it's not something that you use and you lose. And if it's permanent and you take care of it and you manage it every year, that's the key of it. And one of our shows this month is going to be dedicated on existing life insurance policies. So if you have policies, you're not going to want to miss that show this month because we're going to get into the nitty gritty. A few years ago, we did a show, Is Your Life Insurance Like a Bad Mattress? The thing is, you might not know until you actually sleep on a new one. If your back's been hurting that bad because your mattress, right? And life insurance can be like that. Not all of them are great, but the purpose, the intent, what they're designed to do is beautiful when you can actually make it work for your situation. So that's very cool. So we've debunked 4 myths today. Only if I can afford it. Well, maybe that needs to be your first priority, not your fourth, right? Okay. Number 2, the cost. It's, usually most people believe it's 5 times more than it actually is. That's on average.
Right.
Okay. Number 3, buy term and invest the difference. Might want to think about that again if you're not a disciplined individual, right? If you're going to spend the difference. Number 4, it only has one use. There's only one reason to buy life insurance, which is absolutely not true. We mentioned a story at the beginning of the show where a gentleman came across 6 different needs in his lifetime for life insurance. And that might be your situation. And the beautiful thing is if you buy it right now, then you can make it flexible to change with your needs as time goes on.
Of course, the younger you are when you purchase it, the less expensive it is.
That is exactly right. Yeah. Good point. We actually worked on a case here about 6 months ago, and the gentleman is 60 years old, and they're having to do it because of Social Security replacement and pension replacement. The wife's not going to get anything, but because they've waited this long, it is ridiculously expensive to get it going and get it where there's actually a value to it. And he's lucky because he's healthy.
He's insurable.
That's right.
And I've got it I have a life insurance at work. I'm sure you'll address that sometime this month as well.
That's exactly right.
I want to jump ahead.
No, I know. That's a good point because that's going to be in those current life insurance buckets of things we need to talk about and things you need to know that maybe you don't know. That's exactly right. So great month, Life Insurance Awareness Month. Use our quoter, use the Life Happens app to find out if you are properly insured at the moment, and follow us on Twitter at KFS Life Planning. Do you have enough life insurance? We'll let you know next week what everybody says about that one.
Sounds like a great month of shows here on Life Planning 101. Tune in every Monday right here on KATX KWY, Saturdays at 9.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Advisory services offered through Smart Money Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Carlton & Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services Incorporated is an independent of Carlton & Associates Incorporated and Smart Money Group, LLC.